Okay. Oh, nice. That's helpful. Cure poison. Hey, nifty. Oh god. Okay. Well, we're not going to kill them. We haven't killed any of them so far. No reason to start now. Some steel weapons and armor. I'm freezing cold. God damn it. Alright, where's their fire? Let's warm up. Dry off. 68% wet. Yeah, that's not good. Okay. Well, we'll give this a minute, and then we'll go search for Stormcloak bodies. So yes, Elder Scrolls games 3, 4, and 5, Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim. I am generally not a strongly opinionated person. I generally wish that other people weren't quite as strongly opinionated. I understand passion, I understand conviction, but I think when it comes, especially on the internet, when it comes to things these days, it seems like everybody, you have to have a strong opinion about it. There aren't many people who are just like, yeah, you know what, I'm just kind of like, it's fine, it's good, I appreciate it, I like it. It's always like, it's the best thing ever, or it's the worst thing ever, like it's not a little in between. Now, I know that people who play the Elder Scrolls, I don't think there's anybody who plays an Elder Scrolls game who thinks it's the worst game ever. I'm not saying that. But there is, of course, the whole, are they dumbing down, are they not dumbing down conversation that happens that is, in my opinion, a little tired and has people on both sides who care way, way too much about the results of the argument. I think it's reasonable to say that there are some things in the Elder Scrolls games that have become streamlined over time, and it's reasonable to say that there are some things in the Elder Scrolls games that have clearly been changed to appeal to less RPG-focused gamers and more just kind of action gamers. A conspirator! Hold that thought, everyone. We gotta read this. What are the odds? Okay, so this must be maybe this is the last clown in the conspiracy. Maybe not the last, but certainly another one. Let's look at his face. Can we look at his face? No? The Nag does not recognize him. Well, let's read this last journal then. Conspirator Journal. Here we go. Most secret, most urgent. Ulfric's move against the usurper is imminent. We have uncovered evidence that there may be a forsworn agent in our circle. A messenger from High Rock was intercepted bound for Solitude with a note to warn usurper of Ulfric's move. When notified, Ulfric was furious. He suspects a forsworn agent got word of our intentions and notified either Farron or Johanna, both known Reachman sympathizers. Due to proximity, the lords of Farron and Johanna have enjoyed amiable relations with Solitude and Usurper. It is assumed Farron and Johanna would attempt to get warning to their friend. For now, it seems we intercepted the only messenger. Usurper is presumed still in the dark regarding our plan, so we continue with the plan as is. In the short term, Ulfric wants the forsworn mole discovered and dealt with. In the long term, vengeance against the culprits responsible for the warning message may be enacted. Alright, so let's think about this. It seems to Anag from context clues that the usurper that they're talking about is Torrig. It's clear that Ulfric would probably think of Torrig as a usurper, the pretender to what should rightfully be Ulfric's throne, right? So if we look at it in that light, Ulfric's move against Torrig is imminent. Okay, so this was written shortly before Ulfric intended to confront Torrig and, depending on your perspective, murder him or challenge him to fair Nord combat. We, meaning the Stormcloaks presumably, have uncovered evidence that there may be a forsworn agent in our circle, forsworn spy among the Stormcloaks, okay? Messenger from High Rock was intercepted, presumably by Stormcloaks, bound for Solitude, with a note to warn Torrig of Ulfric's move. Okay. So somebody in High Rock sent a messenger to Solitude to warn Torrig about Ulfric's intentions to challenge him. And that messenger was intercepted by the Stormcloaks. When notified of this interception of the messenger, Ulfric was furious. He suspects a Forsworn agent, spy, got word of the Stormcloak intentions to assassinate Torrig, and notified either Farron or Johanna, both known Reachmen sympathizers. Okay, that makes some sense. So here's what it looks like happened. The Stormcloaks intercept a messenger bound for Solitude. They presumably kill or interrogate the messenger, take the message from him, and find out that he came from either somewhere in High Rock, and he was carrying a message for Torrig warning him about Ulfric's intentions to kill him. They assume, or maybe they got it out of this messenger, that the message was sent by one of the kings of either Farron or Johanna, and the king of Farron or Johanna must have gotten word of Ulfric's plans from a Forsworn spy in Ulfric's group, in Ulfric's camp, which could be possible. You would think, the Forsworn probably have no love for Ulfric. They probably remember how the incident at Markarth went down 25 years ago. So I could imagine that if they were looking to secure their political freedom, they would intend to have a mole inside of Ulfric's group. So that's conceivable. So what they're saying here is Ulfric made plans to go against Torrig. The Forsworn spy in Ulfric's circle found out about this, conveyed that information to the Forsworn. The Forsworn, not having anyone in Markarth or the Reach that they could go to in any position of authority, instead sent word to Farron and Johanna saying, hey, you guys have helped us in the past. Here's information on what Ulfric plans to do to High King Torrig. Presumably this is the king of Farron then that must have received this word, because he did support the Forsworn during the Markarth incident, when Ulfric went in and slew a bunch of Forsworn and Reachmen. Okay. So let's say the king of Farron gets word of Ulfric's plans against Torrig. The king of Farron and Torrig were friends, as was the king of Farron with Islad, Torrig's father. So of course the king of Farron wants to warn his friend Torrig about Ulfric's plans. So he sends a messenger to Solitude. The messenger is intercepted. Ulfric finds out who the messenger came from, and combined with Ulfric's already holding a grudge against the king of Farron from how the king of Farron tried to interfere with his business when he took over the Reach from the Forsworn. So he's already got that grudge from 25 years ago. Then he sees that this same man, this king of Farron, is now trying to warn his political enemy of Ulfric's intended move against him. And it says, it's assumed Farron and Johanna will try to get warning to their friend. Seems now we intercepted the only messenger. Okay, so that explains why Torrig didn't find out about the plan, because the only messenger that King of Farron sent was intercepted. Torrig is presumed still in the dark regarding our plan, so we continue with the plan as is. In the short term, Ulfric wants the Forsworn mole discovered and dealt with. Presumably that happened. We don't know anything about that, but we can assume that Ulfric probably did a purge of some kind. In the long term, vengeance against the culprits responsible for the warning message may be enacted. Okay, so Ulfric, 25 years ago, takes the Reach back reclaims the Reach from its independent status as being ruled by the Reachmen, brings it back into Skyrim's fold, does so in a really bloody and violent way where he murders Reachmen, men, women, and children, and Nord sympathizers. In the act of doing that, he provokes the ire of the King of Farron and the King of Johanna, for that matter, who are both sympathizers of the Reachmen and believe that the Reach should be an independent province of Skyrim. These two kings of Farron and Johanna try to interfere with Ulfric's dealings in Markarth and petition the Empire to step in and demand that Ulfric cease his killings. Ulfric makes note of this mentally and decides that from that point on he's not going to trust these two kings, and according to another journal that we found earlier at the Whiterun Stormcloak camp, he apparently thinks that The reason that the kings of Faerûn and Jahanna were involving themselves in the first place was not purely because they were sympathetic to the Reachmen, but because they actually want to break away from High Rock themselves and join the Reach and form an independent province in between High Rock and Skyrim, consisting of the Reach, Faerûn, and Jahanna. Now, as I said earlier, Naig knows that that wasn't the case. The King of Faerûn did not have any such political ambitions, but apparently Ulfric, in his paranoid, delusional state, is projecting his own ambitions upon his enemies, and assuming that the King of Faerûn must be equally devious and ambitious as he is. So he's got that going on in the back of his mind, Ulfric does. Then he intercepts a messenger trying to warn his political enemy about Ulfric's own plans to kill that enemy. And he finds out somehow that that messenger is from the King of Faerûn, and this is for him the last straw, presumably. He purges his inner circle to get rid of the spy that discovered this and conveyed it to Faerûn. And then he recruits some of his own Stormcloaks to conspire to murder the King of Faerûn in such a way that it looks like a member of his own court committed the murder. Hence why a Naig was kidnapped and taken to Faerûn. Or rather, hence why a Naig was supposed to be the scapegoat. She was supposed to be killed and her body dumped in Jahanna. But the two Stormcloak conspirators made their own plans and decided they were going to keep her alive to have their way with her. She ended up escaping them. She fled to Skyrim. Okay, so now that's the full picture. We get it now. We understand the story now. Ulfric killed the King of Faerûn, or had him killed, because he believed the King of Faerûn was conspiring against him over the Reach, and believed, apparently correctly, that the King of Faerûn was interfering with, or trying to warn his friend, King Torrig, of Ulfric's plans to confront and kill him. So there we go, you guys. That's the whole story behind a Naig being in Skyrim. All is revealed. It makes some sense now. A Naig thought it was a little weird for Ulfric to just kill the King of Faerûn because of some weird fantasy about the king wanting to claim the Reach as his own and form an independent province. But it kind of makes some sense if Ulfric was also upset that the King of Faerûn tried to warn Torrig about the coming assassination. Now, Ulfric did carry out the assassination of Torrig first before he moved against the King of Faerûn, because, as I said in an earlier episode, the King of Faerûn found out about Torrig's death and was very upset about it. I'm not even going to stop. I don't care. Very interesting. So Ulfric actually did have a purpose behind why he killed the King of Faerûn. It was wrong, but he did have a purpose. So, presumably Ulfric just gave the order to Galmar. Get some guys together, I want the King of Faerûn dead. Galmar gave the orders to somebody that he trusted, who recruited some soldiers, some Stormcloak soldiers, to do the deed. The Stormcloak soldiers, maybe by themselves or maybe with Galmar's assistance, came up with the plan wherein they said, okay, we kill these people, we kill the king and the queen, we kill the steward, we kill the captain of the guard, we kill the mage, and we blame it all on one of them. Dump that person's body in Jahanna, make it look like they got into a fight with a thief after they escaped there, after killing the king and queen. And then that'll be a closed book. Nobody will bother investigating and come to the conclusion that any Stormcloaks were involved. It'll never be traced back to Skyrim. The hitch in the plan was that two of the conspirators decided on their own to not kill a Naig before they took her body, but rather to kidnap her alive. She was able to escape them. Right. We know the story now. And a Naig is not afraid. In fact, it might be helpful to reveal now to the Imperial Legion who she is. Maybe she's kind of thinking maybe General Tullius or Legate Ricca would like to know who she is, and they could actually put that out there publicly. Maybe not publicly declare who a Naig is, but let it be known, kind of almost spreading information, disinformation, although it's not disinformation, it's correct, but let it be known that the Court Mage of Farron is aiding the Imperial Legion, and then when the Stormcloaks find out, Ulfric finds out, and he's like, oh crap, the Court Mage of Farron is... There's a freaking skeleton walking down the road. There's 3 of them. Hang on a second, y'all. We gotta do this. Watch out for arrows. This is gonna be dangerous. Oh, I'm totally missing. Or am I? I don't know, I can't tell. I'm totally missing this guy, though. There we go. Okay, I'm not going to try to clear the fort again. I just wanted to get these skeletons, because they're right on the freaking road. Alright, back to the horses. Where'd Glim go? Glim! Glim! There you are, you big coward. Hang on a second. Do I have horse whistle still? Yeah, I do. Everybody in the fort, all the mages in the fort are like, hmm? Who was that? Huh. Yeah, so Nag thinks it might be a good idea if the Legion might want to spread that information and let Ulfric know. So that maybe he'll kind of... Maybe it'll force his hand a little bit, put a little bit of pressure on him if he knows that the person who could reveal the whole plot is actually still alive. Probably looking for vengeance, and could certainly turn the tide of public opinion against him if that whole plot were revealed. It's one thing to say Ulfric wants to gain Skyrim's independence for the Nords. It's another thing to say that Ulfric is potentially risking a civil war that an eventual independent Skyrim would have. Not a civil war, rather. A war with High Rock, because he assassinated a king in High Rock. That's pretty risky. And I imagine that it would... Oh my god, it's practically nighttime. Imagine it would change the opinion of the public. Probably against him, actually. Interesting. And I might do that. I mean, we just left Solitude, so we won't be telling them for some time, but... maybe a good idea. Maybe what we'll do... Here's what we'll do. We didn't eat any lunch, so... Oh god, Sabercat. We'll check into Morthal here. We'll spend the night here in Morthal. And... I think what we'll do is... we'll send a messenger from Morthal back to Solitude. Letting... And the messenger will be telling... General Tullius... Whoa, nice work, you guys. Telling General Tullius what we've discovered. Telling him who we are. And just saying, look, we wanted to tell you this before the next campaign started. Because we think that it could potentially, have some value in smoking out Ulfric, maybe forcing his hand a little bit, turning the tide of public opinion against him. We didn't want to come all the way back to Solitude to do it because we do have orders to be in the Rift as soon as possible. But still, something that you needed to know. So that's what we'll do. Park the horses here. We'll go inside, we'll find a messenger we can send back to Solitude.